finance, what it means and why it matters.
How vulnerable is the Australian economy?
And Alan Kohler goes deeper.
Let's solve housing affordability.
Big players, big decisions, and the lessons to be learned.
Welcome to ABC Business Daily.
Hear this and more great ABC podcasts on the ABC Listen app.
Questions. They've never been more important. So the one thing we'll never question is our duty.
Agree on a new €4 billion defense pact. The deal includes joint production of advanced drones. The German chancellor says it sends a very clear message to Russia. And the first direct negotiations between Israel and Lebanon in 40 years. But so far, there's no let-up in hostilities with Hezbollah. I'm Sarah Kelly in Berlin, and DW News starts right now. It's a new beginning for Germany and Ukraine, a strategic partnership sealed here in Berlin, including joint production of sophisticated drones and other weapon systems. The German Chancellor Friedrich Merz says supporting Ukraine in the war against Russia sends the Kremlin a very clear signal. Ukraine says the defense cooperation package is worth some €4 billion.
Investing in a joint and stronger future. That was the key message of German Chancellor Friedrich Merz following the signing of a raft of cooperation agreements in Berlin on security, data technology and industrial recovery.
Denn wir wollen, und zwar noch mehr als in der Vergangenheit,
we want to learn from each other, even more so than in the past. We want a sovereign, democratic Ukraine as a powerful partner in a free, safe and prosperous Europe.
Earlier, Merz and Zelensky toured an exhibition at the Chancellery showcasing drones developed jointly by Berlin and Kyiv since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion. Both leaders lauded their cooperation, Merz saying Germany had much to learn from Ukraine's military achievements.
For no army in Europe has been tested in combat over the past decades as much as Ukraine's. No society has become more resilient than Ukraine's. No defense industry has become more innovative than Ukraine's.
Zelensky said he hoped the change of regime in Hungary would make it easier for the EU to support Kyiv.
We hope that Germany, as one of the leaders of the European Union, will help us to quickly unlock €90 billion.
A negotiated end to the war with Russia without Ukraine being forced to cede land and without damaging Kyiv's European allies.
Russia is still looking for a reason not to stop this war. Europe is one of the reasons, but the main reason is them.
And DW's chief political editor, Michaela Kufner, told me more about the significance of this new defense pact.
Well, this means that Ukraine and Germany are trying to move out of this constant emergency mode. We have seen visits in the past. Usually Zelensky is here. He gets pledges for more money. He gets pledges particularly for more air defense. And it has become a war routine, a support routine. This time is different. He comes with something to offer. And Friedrich Merz, the German chancellor, was also pretty open in talking about Germany's own economic interests in the future. The problem with all of this is that when it comes to actually making money and having a normal partnership, that all sounds very much post-war. So you can't get around that. But we have seen this commitment now that Germany has with Poland, for instance, and many other close partners with France, where there are joint sessions of several cabinet members and hammering out some agreements. The most interesting one here was that on drone development and production cooperation, and here Ukraine has an edge. And that's also why we are seeing an increasingly more self-confident Volodymyr Zelensky when he comes to Berlin and when he speaks particularly to European partners.
Defense cooperation, the main focus here. Can you walk us through a little bit more of the specifics of what it is they agreed upon on that level?
Look, what's really interesting is that Ukraine's president said that Ukraine currently has the capacity to produce twice as many drones as it needs for its own purposes. That sounds quite different. That sounds like a country that is set into fending off this war of aggression by Russia and that has learned a lot of expertise along the way. There was only a slight hint today towards the issue in the Middle East, that the Iran war, how Ukraine is helping out partners in the region, and I would expecting also some support in exchange. More specifically, we saw the defense minister here, both defense ministers sign an agreement on the sharing of military data, which allows the development of a future weapons system. So this is actively actually engaging in producing the weapons and defense goods needed for modern day and future warfare. Also bearing in mind that, yes, Ukraine still needs those air defenses. Yes, there is a pledge also to ensure that there is a provision of more of the ammunition needed, but also potentially more systems that are currently needed and constantly needed. We also saw that in the Middle East. On
the other hand, you have the north of Israel being bombarded with rockets on a daily basis. So I think both sides will aspire to achieve a ceasefire. The thing is, from the Israeli side of things, there's lots of pressure from the public to reach such a ceasefire that would secure the future security of the northern parts of Israel, meaning it should be free of any threats from Hezbollah, and it remains to be seen whether that is even possible during those negotiations.
Does Israel really believe that the Lebanese government can deliver anything without Hezbollah's approval?
The straight-out answer is no. The main reason for this operation in the southern Lebanon, when it comes to the Israeli side of things, the Israeli government says quite openly, we need to have a partner that we trust to dismantle Hezbollah's infrastructure and weaponry in the southern parts of Lebanon. That's obviously close to the border with Israel. The Israeli government says that it wasn't the case, despite the previous ceasefire agreement stating that it should have been the case. That was the reason Israel, according to the Israeli government anyways, went into this operation. It remains to be seen whether any sort of security or any sort of new offers by the Lebanese government would bring Israel to the position of holding back its military operation. But people here on the street, when you talk to Israelis, nobody really thinks this is going to happen. And the main demand from the government, it seems, is to make sure that Hezbollah is no longer a threat by all means necessary.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what Israel is hoping for in these talks? What is their best case scenario?
I think we should divide the hopes in Israel to two. First of all, you have the Israeli public. Many parts of the Israeli public see Lebanon and Lebanese people not necessarily as enemies. It needs to be said. And many Israelis are hopeful that such talks would, at some point in the near future, lead to some sort of a peace agreement between the countries. Having said that, the Israeli government is adamant that Hezbollah is the main obstacle towards such an agreement. And as long as Hezbollah holds arms, it seems like that under this Israeli government, it's not going to happen. We have to remember that Israel is set to hold an election this year, the latest in October, and it remains to be seen how this issue develops also within the Israeli election campaign, both from the Israeli government, the coalition, and the opposition.
Felix Thompson in Jerusalem, thank you.
Thank you.
And DW's Beirut Bureau Chief Mohammed Shreite earlier laid out the Lebanese position for us.
First things first, Lebanon insists on describing the meetings as talks rather than negotiations. It has made clear that it does not want to engage in any form of negotiations before a ceasefire is in place, which Israel does not seem to be wanting at the moment. But the reality is that Lebanon's government has very little leverage over Hezbollah, and the party is backed and funded by Iran. And in that sense, the government has very little to offer. It is in an extremely difficult position. It wants to see Hezbollah disarmed, but it is unwilling to do so by force. The government knows that this could trigger a major internal confrontation between a heavily armed group here in Beirut and the official armed forces, Lebanese armed forces. And a civil war and a widespread bloodshed is in no one's interest here in Lebanon. What the government has been proposing, though, is a cessation of hostilities and that the Israeli forces withdraw from Lebanon, arguing that the continued Israeli occupation gives a pretext to Hezbollah to retain its weapon and keep fighting. Now, in an ideal scenario, the government would build on a broader arrangement between regional powers with Iran, in which Iran would stop funding and backing Hezbollah, or at least encourage the group to transition into a fully political party.
What's been the public reception regarding these talks? I mean, how are citizens viewing them?
It really depends on who you ask here in Lebanon in general. There's a general sentiment that does not really oppose the talks as long as they lead to an end of this conflict and to a viable resolution for Hezbollah's military wing. At the same time, there's a deep misunderstanding among the Lebanese towards Israel, rooted in the long history of enmity between the two countries and Israel's past occupation of parts of southern Lebanon, and also the Israeli actions in Gaza, which have been very, very criticized here in Lebanon. Meanwhile, there's an outrageous rejection from Hezbollah and its supporters, mostly within Lebanon's Shia community, to these direct talks. Some have even gone far as to describe such engagement as treason.
Mohammed Shreite, thank you so much. 12 years ago today, 276 Chibok schoolgirls were kidnapped by the jihadist militant group Boko Haram. While many were released and some escaped, dozens are still missing. Others were forced into marriage. The abduction sparked a global campaign under the banner Bring Back Our Girls, but even now kidnappings are frequent in Nigeria, as DW's West Africa correspondent reports.
These images of the Chibok girls 12 years ago shocked the world. Hawa, Ruth's daughter, was among the 276 students abducted by terrorist group Boko Haram. Like Hawa, more than 80 of them are still missing.
Since Boko Haram took my daughter, I haven't heard any news about her. Life has been miserable for me and my family. I'm just crying and begging the world to please help rescue not only her, but the other girls too.
Hawa was 17 years old when she was kidnapped. Today, she would be 29. The grief of his daughter's abduction made Ruth's husband fall ill, and he never recovered. He died a few years ago, leaving Ruth to care for their other 9 children.
Although we heard some died, I believe my daughter is still alive, and I pray she will return soon.
But life has not been easy for some of those that have returned. Mariam, who was 14 years old when she was taken, regained freedom a decade ago. She had a son with a jihadist fighter while in captivity. Because of her child, her family has not fully accepted her since she came back.
I love him, and then no matter how I found the boy, I was still be happy because he came out from my room. I thought, okay, they will be happy to see me and welcome me then. Nothing like that. If people like outside your family can do that, you will not mind, but people that give it to you, you will feel bad.
The abductions led to the global social media campaign Bring Back Our Girls, calling for their rescue. Former US First Lady joined the call.
Jihadist group Boko Haram gained international notoriety after the Chibok incident, and there has been a surge in mass abductions since then. Splinter factions and other armed criminal groups now operate across the northern region, worsening insecurity in the country and making some citizens to lose confidence in the government.
We feel badly, particularly as a member of Bring Back Our Girls, where we stood firmly that if those girls were not brought back to us or to their family members, we will not disperse if government will abide by what they say by now.
Of Nigerian authorities to address the ongoing security challenges facing the country that have been going on for many years now.
Can you give us a sense about, because some of the girls have made it back, and we saw a couple of the cases in the piece that preceded our discussion. What is the resettling process like for girls who have been returned? What resources are available to them and their families? Because, I mean, we saw this one case earlier of a family who would not accept, their daughter because she had a child in captivity.
Well, Nigerian government has not made any plan for them. We have always said that as Amnesty International that these girls must be provided with psychosocial care. They have to be provided with a comprehensive health check. They have to be provided with psychological support. And they have to be also be put through a trauma management process that would have been useful in making sure that they return back to normal life. Unfortunately, that has not been done. And there was no any protocol for returning them back to their families. And that is why you even have that case where a family rejected their daughter because they came back with a child. There are families that accepted those children and their daughter back, and they are finding it difficult to adjust to life with children gotten from that disgusting and terrible situation. So it was so unfortunate that the support that we have been asking the government many times to provide has not been provided.
Are there any organizations that are filling that gap, though? Because, I mean, if the government is failing on one side, are you able to support them in another way, for example, through efforts from Amnesty or related organizations like yours?
Well, we do help with this kind of things, but the issue with Chibok girls is an international issue, and the Nigerian government has a plan for them, like educating them, like giving them support to restart life. So it is the duty of Nigerian government to do that. There might be some organization helping, but I don't think that enough has been done. I believe that the whole responsibility lies on the shoulder of Nigerian government, not organizations or voluntary services.
The Chibok girls case has, of course, gotten a lot of global attention, but kidnapping is a wider issue in Nigeria. Give us a sense of the scale of the problem.
Well, abduction is still going on. It is going on in large scale. And even this week, we released a report which shows that from January to April, about 1,100 people have been abducted across Nigeria. That is in 3 months. So abduction continues to be a big threat to right to life, a big threat to human rights, a big threat to the ability of the people to go about their lives without fear. We believe that in Nigeria now, we have what we call the crisis of abduction for ransom, and some people are even abducted and killed in custody. So it's a crisis that Nigerian government must confront, and they must confront it head on to make sure that it is addressed effectively.
And it's not just Boko Haram, committing these kidnappings. There are, other different perpetrators. But when we look at the group Boko Haram itself, which perpetrated the Chibok kidnapping, how strong is this group right now in Nigeria?
Well, Boko Haram is gradually resurging, is gradually recovering, and they have been launching deadly attacks across Borno State and Yobe. And the gain that was made in pushing them back is now being gradually lost. And we also know that it's not only Boko Haram that carry out abductions. They do abduct people, especially they target girls and young men. And there are many, many other armed groups across Nigeria that have turned abduction into a lucrative business. And this is really a big problem. People are selling off the entire thing they own, their entire assets, to pay for ransom for their dear ones that were abducted. And these abductors have been making millions, hundreds of millions of naira every day. And unfortunately, there was no way of stopping them.
Issa Sanusi, thank you so much joining us from Amnesty International. We appreciate your insight. And you're up to date now on DW News. A quick reminder of our top stories. Germany and Ukraine have agreed on a new €4 billion defense pact. The deal includes joint production of advanced drones. The German chancellor says it sends a very clear signal to Russia. And Israel and Lebanon are holding direct talks for the first time in 40 years. Despite that diplomatic breakthrough, there has been no let-up in Israel's offensive against the militant group Hezbollah. You can always get DW News on the go. Just download our app from Google Play or from the Apple App Store, which will give you access to all of the latest news from around the world, as well as push notifications for breaking news. There's lots of sports, business, and entertainment, plus analysis and background from our correspondents around the globe. And this live feed that you're watching right now, it's also on there. It's just one click away. I'm Sarah Kelly in Berlin. Thank you so much for your time. Do take care.
This season, get your footy fix live and ad-free with the ABC Listen app.
He strikes it, he likes it!
AFL, NRL, men's and women's.
Game, set, bingo!
Whatever footy you're after, we've got you covered.
And rides it all the way home!
Every try, goal, mark and tackle.
Going in to score!
Called by ABC Sports expert commentary team.
Gets on his preferred side of goals.
AFL and NRL, live and ad-free.
Bang!
This season on ABC Listen.
Commemorate Anzac Day on ABC.
We honour all who have served in our name.
With a full day's coverage, starting with the dawn services in Sydney, Canberra and Melbourne, followed by the marches in your state capital. Then, national live coverage of services at Gallipoli and VA Brettoneux.
I welcome you as we gather at this special place.
Anzac Day, all-day coverage on ABC TV, radio and iView. The podcast ABC Business Daily breaks down the news moving markets, shaping industries and your money.
World energy markets remain in turmoil.
Carrington Clark unpacks what's happening in the world of finance, what it means and why it matters.
How vulnerable is the Australian economy?
And Alan Kohler goes deeper.
Will that solve housing affordability?
Big players, big decisions and the lessons to be learned.
Welcome to ABC Business Daily.
Hear this and more great ABC podcasts on the ABC Listen app.
You're not really drinking the beer, you're drinking the proposition.
Officer, I just had a couple of propositions.
Ads are back on ABC.
How excited are you?
Somewhat excited.
It's the new season of Gruen.
They have Volvo heads. Pronounced Volvo.
Still going strong.
Did you just say you're a model?
Purple, palm, purple.
Still cutting through the spin.
Steel, not steel.
Gruen returns April 29 on ABC TV and ABC iView.
Wait, no, who's only here to find out how to delete the porn off their computers? Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm afraid it's much more serious than menopause. You've contracted early onset Karen.
Well, I tell you what, I want to talk to your supervisor.
I'm Dr. Madison Emerson Addison.
What a horrible name.
Ursula starts April 29, ABC TV and ABC iView.
All your favourite kids podcasts are now available on the ABC Listen app. Head to the Kids tab in the ABC Listen app to create a custom kids profile.
Please, come in.
Create a kids profile today.
Hello, Jade Barker with a roundup of our current top stories on ABC News. Donald Trump's naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz begins, along with a fresh threat from the president to eliminate any unauthorised ships that come close. Australian negotiators are also set to join crisis talks. Meanwhile, Qantas cuts flights and hikes fares. The carrier expects its yearly fuel bill to blow out by $800 million and is warning of more changes. The opposition outlines its vision of a tough immigration system, including social media screening of visa applicants and the introduction of a safe countries list. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex mix charity and business on their first day of their Australian tour in Melbourne, while the tour is privately funded and has the hallmarks of a royal visit. A new nasal vaccination program for influenza rolls out in Australia for the first time. The nasal spray called Flu Mist is an alternative for children who are anxious about needles. And Port Adelaide's Zach Butters found guilty of using abusive or insulting language towards an umpire and fined $1,500. That brings you up to date on ABC News. For more, you can head to our website.
The Ayman role is Siamic after replacement.
Replacement? She's not a police officer and she's got no business being on investigation.
She has a brilliant mind.
She's very, very annoying, but she does have a knack of being right.
All new patients, Friday 8:30.
The Assembly returns. Graduates from past series are back to level up our media skills.
That's a good question.
We'll interview some familiar faces.
It's the most bogan thing you've ever done.
This time we're more confident.
How to get girls that are much better looking than you.
And more curious. It's a really beautiful question.
Sorry, turn into Oprah.
The new series.
It's supposed to be a tough rock and roller. You guys are superstars.
The Assembly, April 26 on ABC and ABC iView.
My name's Margie Argyle and I've been the Artistic Director of the Argyle Theatre for 6 years. But I'm also a storyteller. I'm a truth custodian. I'm a disruptor. I'm a witch.
Bad Company starts April 26 on ABC TV and ABC iView.
Making a good impression.
You have to win them over with your personality and people skills.
Look at me. It's harder than it looks.
This pump.
Thank you. I'm happy with a handshake.
At least for some people.
I'm a truth custodian. I'm a disruptor. I'm a witch.
You two are weapons-grade bonkers.
I beg your pardon? Oh, could this day get any worse?
Comedy that leaves an impression. Stream now on ABC iView.
Welcome to the programme. Tonight, stealing fuel from truckies and the opposition's new immigration policy with social media screening and an emphasis on Australian values. Shortly, I'll speak to Liberal Senator James Paterson. First, here's 7:30's political editor, Jacob Gruber.
Elected Liberal leader 2 months ago, Angus Taylor has been slow off the mark. His opening weeks in the job overshadowed by the war against Iran and a relentless slide in national polling towards One Nation.
Under my leadership, we will change for the better.
Today, in front of an audience of Liberal diehards at the Menzies Institute and with an eye on voters drifting towards Pauline Hanson, Angus Taylor endeavoured to define himself more clearly, promising an immigration system based on discrimination.
Australia has a non-discriminatory immigration program. We don't discriminate based on nationality, race, gender or faith. But for an immigration program to work in the national interest, it must discriminate based on values.
For too long, Angus Taylor says, immigration standards have declined, leaving the door open, in his words, to migrants of subversive intent who want Australia to change for them.
Consider what we've seen in recent years. The Bondi Beach terrorist attack. These are the ramifications of an immigration system where standards have eroded.
While much of Angus Taylor's rhetoric reprises long-standing Liberal views and many of the policy details are still to come, today's speech suggests he would force anyone applying for a visa, including tourists, to submit their social media accounts for scrutiny.
The Coalition's resolve is clear. The door will be shut for those who want to import the hatred and violence of other places to Australia.
A future coalition government would also reassess more than 2,000 Palestinians from Gaza granted visas in the wake of the October 7 terror attacks in Israel.
When a country brings in too many people, and the people with the wrong motivations, it's inevitable that the character of the country changes.
Taylor is also pushing to remove visa holders who fail to abide by an Australian values statement, including fealty to rule of law, equal opportunity and English as the national language.
We've seen too many instances of visa holders flouting those values.
Angus Taylor has not given any specific numbers on planned immigration cuts, and the Home Affairs Minister